Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, and today we are taking a look at Breachway. So Breachway, really cool game that's coming out on the 26th, and it's pretty much like a homage to games similar to like Faster Than Light, if you remember that back in the day. Really cool roguelike game. But it takes that faster light element of running around the galaxy and that kind of stuff, and then adding in like roguelite elements of deck builders, so all the weapon systems and shield systems have their own little card selections, which is really quite cool, and you just go in and sort of play around with building a deck for your ship as you add new equipment to it. So first off, let's jump into the settings. Settings are completely fine for a game of this sort of size. It's a pretty good-looking game, but it is very much a more of a cell-based shader kind of look to it, and slightly cartoonish. So graphics aren't too much of an issue here at all. You can see we've got plenty of options here as well. I have tried this. I actually have an ultra-wide monitor as well, and it works completely fine on ultra wides, and I have a pretty ridiculous size resolution for that. But for review in YouTube, we are just shooting in sort of standard shot on ratio, so completely fine. Nothing to say here. You can limit frame rate, you can unlimit frame rate. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. Enable volumetrics. I had this on and off. I didn't notice too much of an issue here either. The visual settings, there are no like advanced options to go in, enabling DLSS and that kind of stuff, but again, doesn't really need it. And we have pretty standard audio settings here as well, with music, sound effects, and speech, which you can play around with. Has quite good language selection as well. I know a lot of people on my channel are from all over the world, so you'll be happy to know it's got pretty much everything sort of ticked off. As far as I can see, the more common languages anyway. So yeah, pretty good on the selection of languages and settings there for the style of game. As you can see, quite a cool looking game. Ship designs are really nice in here as well. So we'll jump into a new run. We'll talk a bit about the gameplay, and yeah, just go from there. So here we are. This is the sort of basis of the game. At the start anyway, you have a few ships to select here. I won't go through some of these later ones. These later ships are unlocked via challenges. For example, for the Marauder, you need to get your Arbalest to the first world, first system boss. Marauder, same sort of thing. Lancer, you have to get to the second boss, I believe, to unlock the Firebrand. And probably more ships incoming as well. During the prologue, there is a cute little ship called the Magpie. Unfortunately, currently not unlockable. I'd like to see that unlockable to do some sort of challenge runs in it. And we can see as well as we change through that we have factions up here, and we have reputation with factions such as Solari, Starskin, Free Roamers, and Deadweights, which are pirates, and they all have, depending on the ship, different starting relations with them, which is quite cool. All the ships vary quite nicely as well. Again, I won't go into too much detail, with different type of play styles, which just gives you the ability to play around quite easily with a lot of stuff. As with all roguelites, we have systems here which you can unlock, these to help you on your start out, increasing capacity for firepower, energy. We have lock and load here, receive a random compatible subsystem after defeating the third enemy of each run. So a lot of cool stuff going on here. Starting out with extra fuel, and yeah, starting out with extra savings. We'll do a run with the Arbalest just to show you the basic gameplay. The systems, as you can see, we have the Pulse Laser Mark III on the Arbalest. This is standard. You can't change what you start with on the ship. This is just what you're given. This is dictate a style of gameplay for each ship, which works out quite nicely. For example, on just the Marauder, if we have a quick look, you see it's got a flak battery instead. So it relies more on less precision damage and more on just dealing as much damage as possible. Laser Pulse, and you can see it has precision written there. If you hover over the cards, it's quite nicely on the left-hand side, tells you what the effects are. Precision, able to target enemy systems. If we go over to the Arbalest as an example, we have Shredding. Hull damage applies 1 shred every stack of shred, increasing incoming minimum flak damage by 1. So as you can see, they got like stacking effect there to increase your damage output. But for the Arbalest run, we're just looking at precision here. We come with a shield battery on this ship as well. This gives you 6 shield for the 1 turn. And we have Conservation, which is a tactical card where you gain energy for every 2 firepower you spend this turn. And that little icon with the spinny sort of look on it is your turns. You also up here, you can see the energy that you're generating per turn. This is your ordnance, your energy, and your mass. So ordnance, the firepower that I kept mentioning earlier, you're going to get 3 of that per turn. You're going to get 2 energy per turn with 1 per turn mass. And your reactor here, you can see how many pips your total reactor power has. You can upgrade these to increase as you go along, which I do recommend, by the way. And yeah, we've got, as well as all of that going on, we have officers on your ship. These give you sort of bonuses. We can see here, if you spend 5 of your command points, we can get 50% attack on the next damage. Sorry, 50% damage on the next attack you deal this turn. AI Gunner doesn't provide anything, so you can use AI Gunners in slots to be able to use and the weapon mounts, but they won't provide any abilities like the crew do. We also have gain 4 shield hit points, and we have combat logistics with gain 2 of each resource. They also have special abilities here, like you've got Engineer, can provide advantages in certain situation. There's a chance to repair hull after combat encounters, as an example. Combat logistics, chance to start a combat with +3 of each resource. Combat training, chance to spot ambushes and get the initiative in combat encounters. So quite a lot of stuff going on. So the depth of this is far outweighs something than faster than light, in my opinion. So this really is, like, as much as it is a homage to faster than light in the way that it plays, but with the added cards, mechanics of crew, there's a lot more depth to it, I feel, which is actually just really quite refreshing. And this is absolutely one of the best games I've played within the roguelite style of games. And again, the ship design looks really cool, and I'm not a massive fan of like cartoony style graphics. I do prefer sort of that realism to graphics, but even I can sit here and, you know, agree that these ships look really, really quite cool, and they're well designed. This one in particular is probably one of my favorites. This is Marauders, kind of this with a different bit of a paint job. So let's jump in, and you can see animations pretty smooth, look really good. I've had a few bugs. Most of those have been with widescreen. I've told the devs about that, and within days they've fixed them. I am on a pre-release build here as well, so there are more bugs than there will be on release. So something to be noteful of is you can, most things will probably be fixed by the time they got out. Like I said, I have a pretty insane sort of setup with my screen by, it's like 5140 by 1440p, so it's a very, very large ultra wide, and there's a couple of issues with that, and even that they managed to fix within a couple of days. So we can see here, here's our ship in the top left. We can pick up, you know, other weapon mounts and stuff as we go. We'll pick one up pretty early on, because they give you one quite early after the second sort of pip on this system or star sector. And each of these systems have different things going on. So we have a blockade start, and you'll have vision of a few extra bits. We've got space station up here. Elite combats are quite difficult early on. Space stations, you'll be able to buy equipment, sell equipment, and the usual shops that you do get, that kind of style. We can also see here that we've got sort of negative relationship with Solari. They dislike us. Starkin, are neutral. Free Roamers are allied to us, and Deadweights, the pirates, are disliked by us. So we'll jump into a couple of systems here, and I'll show you sort of a bit of what the combat's about. Again, this is early on. You want to be trying to get sort of combos off and stuff, like we can see here. We have a Catalyst Pulse. It can deal 4 damage. All Pulse cards played this turn will deal 1 extra damage. Another Pulse card here, Laser, deal 4 damage. So ideally, you want to try and play these sort of like off of each other. We can't currently because we don't have enough income per turn. So what I'm actually going to do here is hold off 1 turn to try and get some extra damage out. I will discard our conservation card in the hopes that we get an extra damage card earlier on. If not, I may overload the cannons. This is the enemy. We can see here that the systems themselves, you can hover over and see what their cards are going to do. They're going to gain shields. That's going to be 3 turns before they gain shields. It's going to be 1 turn before the beam sweep comes up. 2 turns for the barrier as well. And we can see that there is armor on these systems, which means you can knock them out to stop them functioning for a period of time, which is quite cool. We also have the ability of the ship itself. Every 6th attack returns your draw pile instead of going on cooldown. Each ship has its own abilities, and again, that's to sort of give you a different play style for each of the ships. So we'll end turn here, hope for an extra card. We can also barrier here, and we get an extra card. We are going to have to increase our damage here to be able to take this out. So overload cannons, and then we're dealing 7 damage because of the bonus +1, and then a 50% bonus from the commander's ability there. And that lets us take us out. This is broken now, so it's going to take them 3 turns to repair, so we don't have to worry about the beams coming in. And we can just end turn here. So it's pretty simple gameplay. Again, it gets a lot more going on, a lot more complicated as your turns sort of as you get further down into the system, because you've got more systems unlocked. As you can see, this has put everything into our cooldown pile. We can see in 1 turn we're going to get our Catalyst Pulse back, and our Laser Pulse conservation that I discarded as well is going to come back. 2 more turns we're going to get a Laser Pulse and Barrier. So you can see what your cooldown pile is going to be, so you can make sure that your next cards that you draw will sort of turn up when you want them to, or you can work around that as well. So end turn again, because we have got nothing to do here at the moment. And we got a Catalyst Pulse back, which means we can deal 9 damage this turn, which is a little bit unfortunate because it does mean we're going to take that beam sweep. So we're going to play a barrier card here. This is going to give us shield, so we can see shield, and it's for 0 turns, but you can actually get cards that will increase the shield duration, so you can sort of take the damage and rack up shield points as well. As you can see, the enemy has 3 shield. When you leave a turn, you'll have half the shield points removed if you have no duration on the shield, so you need to watch out for that a little bit. There is also an overheat mechanic. Don't have to worry too much about that on this particular ship, but there is other ships later on that you can sort of play around with, and you can actually overload the enemy ship's heat as well. What that will do is it'll allow you to it'll deal damage. So if you go over that heat threshold, you'll take damage equal to how much your damage you've gone over. So if your heat threshold is 4, you can go up to like 5 heat threshold, and that means you're going to take 1 damage on that turn end. So we're just going to Catalyst Pulse here. We're going to start shooting at the barrier, take his shield down, and turn the barrier off. And we'll leave conservation for now because we don't actually need to play it. We have a shield up, so the beam sweep's not going to do anything to us. You have your health pool just below there. You can repair as you go around, so don't worry too much. And we have 4 extra damage there, so just enough to kill the enemy off. Gain 24, and here's where you can add cards. There is a thing on the ultra wide screens here. If you have enough systems, you can get up to like 5 systems or 6 systems on some ships. Actually, even more than that. And they come to a point where they flicker off the screen a little bit, but you can scroll in this screen up and down at the current moment while the devs work out a better fix for that. So, our choices here, we've got Repeater Pulse, deal 4 damage, return a laser card from the cooldown pile to your hand, cannot return itself. Catalyst Pulse, another one to give us +1 damage. We also have Conservation, Mass Surge, Auto Shield, gain 4, then draw a shield card from your draw pile. If it succeeds, you'll get +2. And Charge Barrier as well. I actually quite like Charge Barrier here. I would like another laser slot, but these aren't the ones that I kind of like. There's some cheaper ones that only cost 2. I think it's called Quick Pulse, and that's sort of the way I quite like going with this ship. We've got an event here. This is where you get a bit of storyline and stuff going on. This unknown contact comes up. He comes up every time. Send me your combat logs after 6 combat encounters, and he'll give us 150 credits. He's also going to provide us with a weapon here as well. So we can see here we have quad flak, or we have a light flak. Probably going to take the light flak here and have the crew install a weapon, as you can see. So now we have it on here. We got 0 to 8 damage and shredding 5, and as you can see, the AI gunner is now going to be running that, but you do ideally want to try and swap this guy out for crew as and when you can. I'm also going to upgrade my reactor here and give us an extra point of ordnance, just so we can get more damage output per turn. Now, the choice of which way you go is completely up to you. The fuel here, which we have 6 of, allows you to go into these separate systems where you can just fly around. You can fly backwards and forwards on these. So what I like to do is go down to one route and then come back on myself, use the fuel to get back onto, say, another route, and then keep going down that way while making sure that I can hit station at some point. We can hit station coming down the central, and it's neutral as well. So that's quite nice. So we'll go down to the conflict zone. We'll have another bit of combat, show you what it can be like. And yeah. So again, we got this guy trying to shield pulse on the first turn. We got a heavy barrage coming in, so we want to try and disable that as and when we can. We now have enough points to do our little laser barrage off the start, which is quite nice. But we are going to have to deal with the fact that he's going to shield pulse next turn. So we'll just end turn there. We got a barrier. We could do with maybe an extra barrier. We have conservation here, so we can force a barrier up a little bit. This is going to give us 1 point for every 2 ordnance, 1 energy for every 2 ordnance that we spend. We have enough, but a little bit extra would be nice here. We only have 4 damage, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do with the flak, see if that takes the shield down. It does. And then we're going to gain 1 shield. We got 6, it can do 12 damage. Use our other crew member skill here, which is going to give us 2 points of research, 2 points of resources each, and so we can double barrier, bringing our shield up to 12 to make sure we don't take any damage. We also get an extra shot here by doing so. So I am actually just going to take the heavy battery out because I may as well. There's a little oversight of me there, but yeah, I never play particularly well when I'm recording anyway.
Enemy shields down.
And yeah, now it's just about sort of taking them out before that shield gets back up. We can pop charge barrier here, because this will give us a turn, so we won't actually lose the shield hit points, and his flak comes online next turn anyway. We got no cards, unfortunately, so there we go. And then 1 more catalyst pulse should do it, or not. And then, yeah, it's pretty much over at this point. So we've tanked their damage. They've got a little to block. And that is this part. Picking up cards. Let's see what we get here. We get nothing after that encounter, which is a bit unfortunate. There is a boss at the end. He's quite a bit stronger than pretty much everything you sort of fight. So you want to try and collect your credits. Make sure you take no damage on the way. And this will allow you to upgrade your ship as you're going along. Again, hitting stations to buy new weapons and equipment. You can see we have a launch bay for missiles. Utility hardpoint here can be anything from increasing your overall damage output to helping shields work. Resource bays also count as utility as well, so you can use those to generate extra resource points as and when you need them. External attachments and auxiliary points of things like radiators, which increase your cooling for your heat, and auxiliary mounts can be things like PDCs to deal with enemy missiles. So again, quite a lot going on. You can see down in the bottom right as well, we've 1 out of 6 enemies now, after we've spoken to our unknown visitor, and he will give us that 150 cash bonus, so I do recommend you try and grab that. So, pretty simple gameplay, but it's got the depth and structure that the roguelike card deck builders sort of able to create quite easily, while still giving you the simple gameplay of faster than light and those sort of roguelike. So overall, this is just a really, really good game. It's pretty solid, and you can play this for literally like 5-10 minutes, have a quick run, or sit around and play it all day like I have been doing for the last few days. I got the key, I think it was like Friday or Thursday or something last week, and I've been playing it since, and I've already stuck 20 hours in over a few days. So yeah, it's a little bit addictive. Really enjoy it. A lot of promise as well for expansion to it, you know, new ship types, so you can have different decks, all sorts of options here where the devs can sort of keep it going for a bit longer and give you more value for your money. So definitely worth a buy in my opinion. If you like this style of game, if you like faster than light, if you like sort of any of those sort of games, Slay the Spire comes to mind as well. Absolutely enjoy those style of games. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.